Clara and Amelia stick together. Just like humans, animals can also feel a special bond with their siblings. This was true for the mouse sisters Clara and Amelia. Since they entered the world, they barely took a step without each other. They played together, went on adventures together, ate together, and fell asleep side by side every night. The two mouse girls rarely fought. When they did, they made up quickly. Happily, they roamed the fields during the day. There, they met other young mice with whom they could play and search for food. Mice primarily eat grains, stems, roots, and seeds. They also enjoy small insects like flies and beetles. As summer came to an end, all the mouse families prepared to gather food for winter. It's important to stockpile a lot, as grains, seeds, and stems are hard to find in winter. When the ground is frozen, the little rodents can't reach the roots of plants. Mice don't hibernate. One day, when Amelia and Clara's mother wanted to send them out to gather food, it was pouring rain. The weather didn't improve in the following days. Time until winter was running out, and the pantry wasn't filled. When the winter sun finally found a gap between the clouds and shone down on the earth, Clara and Amelia left their burrow. Before they peeked out, they carefully checked to see if a cat or hedgehog was nearby, or if a bird of prey was circling above. Mice must be very cautious, as they are prey for other animals. Amelia was the first to stick her nose out of the burrow. She sniffed around and looked for any danger. Everything was quiet, so she called Clara, and both of them slipped outside. It was damp and, despite the sunshine, still quite cold. The little mice were hungry. Clara's stomach growled loudly. Amelia and Clara decided to split up to cover a larger area. Amelia soon discovered a barn. She slipped under the gate and looked around. The barn was neatly organized, but there were no signs of grain. Amelia felt desperate. Her parents had told her that in the past, every barn was filled with grain sacks, and if you managed to nibble a hole in one, the grains would roll right out. How wonderful that would be, thought the hungry little mouse. But Amelia didn't want to give up and explored the barn further. Then she caught a scent. She held her nose up, sniffed, and discovered a well-filled rye ear. She dove in and wanted to start eating right away. She was so hungry. But then she remembered that Clara must be just as hungry. Amelia recalled how loudly her sister's stomach had growled. But she was so hungry herself. Should she eat the grain all by herself? She could just pretend she hadn't found anything. Amelia nibbled a grain from the ear and enjoyed the pleasant taste. But then she felt ashamed. How could she be so selfish? Amelia took the ear, hid it in a safe spot in the barn, and set off to find her sister. Although the ear didn't have many grains, it would be enough to satisfy their biggest hunger. Amelia rushed off, calling for her sister, but received no answer. She searched desperately for Clara. She was afraid valuable time was passing, and another mouse might find the ear with the tasty grains. But the little mouse didn't give up and kept searching. Then she spotted Clara. She was lying on the cold ground. What is she doing? Amelia wondered. Clara can't rest in this cold weather. Amelia approached and nudged her sister. Clara didn't respond. Amelia called and shook her until Clara finally opened her button-like eyes. "I can't go on," Clara whispered. "I'm so hungry." Amelia stroked her sister and told her that she had found grain. "Come, it's not far. If you lean on me, you can make it to the barn." Clara gathered her strength and slowly followed her sister. She had to stop to rest several times because she was so weak. Finally, they saw the barn. Excitedly, they slipped under the gate, and Amelia headed straight for her hiding spot. She gave Clara the first grains to help her regain her strength quickly. Once all the grains were eaten, the worst hunger was gone. Clara said, "Come on, let's search a bit more. Maybe we can find some more ears in the barn to bring home to our parents." The two sisters continued their search. They thought they smelled grains and kept lifting their noses. But there was no sign of the grain. "Up there, look. There might be something," Clara shouted, excitedly. Amelia also spotted the barn floor. They quickly climbed up. Now they knew where the smell of grain was coming from. There were lots of grain stalks with filled ears. What joy! Now there was no stopping them. The two sisters ate as much as they hadn't in a long time. When their bellies were full, they started their way home. Each sister took an ear with her so their parents could have something to eat as well. Tomorrow, they would show them the barn, and the pantry in their burrow could finally be filled. When they arrived home, there was great joy. Their parents wanted to set off right away to collect the valuable grain. But Clara and Amelia were so exhausted that they needed to rest first. As they lay down to sleep, Amelia shared that she had briefly considered eating the whole grain ear by herself. But then she would have felt guilty, knowing her sister was just as hungry. In the end, her decision to share with her sister turned out to be a great blessing. After all, together they had discovered the barn floor filled with delicious grains. The two sisters hugged, squeezed each other, promised to always be there for one another, and fell asleep happily.